Hi everyone, it's Allie. I am here for day 12 of the Soupilicious collab. If you guys haven't seen or heard of anything that's going around on YouTube right now, what it is in the month of January, a bunch of great women are participating and showing their soups and stews and how we make them along with recipes, and if it's like a Pinterest one, we show you how to make it and so on. So if you want to see anyone else who is participating, I have all of the links to their channels in the description box. So I really encourage you to go check out some of the other great recipes that are going on right now. But for day 12, you get me. I am doing the chicken paprika stew. What this is a great versatile dish. You can make it into an entree or you can have it as a stew. I kind of refer to it as a picky man's delight because anybody I've ever known that's whatever they say they don't eat, unless obviously they're like a vegetarian or vegan or whatever, or they don't eat dairy, then you're obviously not gonna like it. They like this dish. So keep watching if you want to see how I make my chicken paprika, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, here's all the ingredients that you're going to need to make the chicken paprika. I have some reduced sodium chicken broth. If you want just to use the regular, go ahead. I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 like overflowing tablespoons of paprika, rice to serve it over. You can also use egg noodles, cornstarch, light sour cream. You can also use like the full fat version. Just do not use the fat free because you need a little bit of the fat from it. Kosher salt and black pepper to taste. Extra virgin olive oil, 3/4 of a medium-sized white onion chopped up. You can also use like a small white onion, yellow onion to do that too. And then I have boneless, skinless chicken breasts, all cut up into like bite-sized pieces. This is 3 big chicken breasts. If you have like the normal smaller size, you can use about 4 of them, or if you have a bigger family, use more. I put my pan on medium-high, put the butter in, and a tablespoon of the EVO, which is basically like a healthy serving all around the pot for that. Once that gets melted, I'm going to go ahead and add my onion. I've got my onions in. You want to go ahead and saute them until they get to the translucent stage, which is only a couple minutes. Once they get to the translucent stage, you will then add your chicken. My onions are at that translucent stage. I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken in, which I've salt and peppered, just a little seasoning. You just want to go ahead and now add this chicken in, and you want it to start getting a little bit brown on each side. Once this starts to cook through a little bit, you want to add your paprika just all around, and then give it a good mix and continue cooking it for another about 3 minutes. So the chicken's been cooking for about 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add about half the box of that chicken broth. You only want to add about half because you don't want to give the chicken a boil taste, and because a lot of chicken has like a natural juice that'll cook out of it, it'll help some. So you're going to add more after you bring this to a boil. After you bring it to a boil, you want to cover it and let it simmer then for about 20 minutes. Once it comes to a boil, you can kind of determine then if you need more broth or not. You want it to be just covered with the broth and not like, too high, because again, this is a stew. Okay, so my chicken has just started to boil. I've made the decision I'm going to add a little bit more of the broth in, just a little bit. And it still leaves me with a little bit more than a quarter of that box of chicken broth left. You're going to go ahead and reduce this down to a simmer and cover it. In about 25 minutes, almost a half hour, I've been letting this cook and simmer down. I am now going to it took about 1 heaping tablespoon of cornstarch and put it in a Pyrex glass. Just make sure it's like safe for heat temperature changes. You're going to go ahead and take some of the broth from this and put it into your Pyrex and mix that cornstarch in, because that's going to help you thicken this up. Do that. Now I'm going to just I usually use a fork. You can use whatever you want, and you just start to mix in this. You want it to dissolve all the way in. If you need more broth, put more broth in there. So I've mixed up all my cornstarch in with some broth, and now I'm going to take the sour cream, which by the way I've been leaving sitting at room temperature this whole time because you want to get it as close to room temperature as possible. If it's not, it's okay. Just helps the process. You're going to take the sour cream and put it into the Pyrex, and then start to mix that in, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so you're just going to stir this all together. The purpose is to temper the sour cream, so you're not putting it ice cold into the soup or stew, because that'll create lumps. This will help give it like a nice consistency. So I just sit here and I just continue to stir it all up. I'm going to add a little bit more broth in because you don't want it cold. You want it like a nice warm temperature. So I'm gonna go ahead, keep mixing this, and then I'll show you what I do with it after I do that. I'm now gonna take all of this and start to mix it into the soup. As you can hear, Emily is screaming and apparently very ready for this dinner. I'm gonna put it in just slowly. I'll stir, pour a little bit more, and stir it until everything's all completely incorporated. So I'll just put a little in right there, and I'll stir it. This is what it looks like. It's coming off over a little bit more red on camera. It's also gonna vary in color depending on how much paprika you use, whether it's gonna be darker or lighter. So you just wanna keep stirring it. I've raised the heat just a little. It's kind of like, it's just below like a medium heat, and you just keep stirring. You want to get all incorporated. It's gonna start to thicken up. At this point, you can start to decide on how thick you want this. Again, we like it a little bit thicker so you can then use it as more of a dinner dish than a stew, or you can make it more to the stew thickness. If you wanted it thicker the way like we like it, then you wouldn't need to add any more cornstarch in. But give it a few minutes because it'll take a little bit for the cornstarch to start to show you how thick it's going to be. So I'm going to let it keep going, cook down a little bit longer, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. I'm also going to start the rice at this point so I can serve it over rice, but again, if you want to put it over egg noodles, you can do that too. It's really yummy. Here's what a dish looks like. I did end up thickening ours just a little bit more with some more cornstarch, and I used a little of the chicken broth, just a little bit more, just because that's the thickness that we like. Again, if you want to do it even thicker so it's more of like a dinner entree plate, then go for it, but this is what we will do. So now I'm going to go ahead, pour it over some rice along with some veggies, and I will show you when we decide to sit down and enjoy it. Okay, so here's the finished product. This is served over rice, and I actually just put a little of this McCormick's Creole seasoning over the top. Gives a little spice to it. You don't have to do this, it's just the way that we like to eat it. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and I will talk to you soon.